Today's episode is inspired from my Self-Care Society class titled Intentional Every Day. And our opening quote comes from Gretchen Rubin's The Happiness Project. And she always inspires me with that book. So she says, what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. And this is like a foundation of everything that I care about when it comes to this work, because so much of Self-Care Society and New Year and this podcast, this YouTube series is all about living an intentional life. Okay. So what does intentional mean? Well, done on purpose, deliberate. And while we can't control everything in our life, we can certainly get clear on where we want to go. So before we jump into our tips and our exercises and all that good stuff, I want you to just pause and embody in your body, in every cell, and whatever you can do, and you can close your eyes if you want to, just how it feels to feel intentional. Okay, what does that feel like in your body? What do you envision when you see yourself as being really intentional, as living really intentionally? Okay, so just notice. And maybe this is an opportunity, the first opportunity of your day to take a deep breath and to tune in. Whatever you need. What does it feel like to live intentionally? For me, it's just clarity, right? It's just determining how I want to live and going after it. So when you're ready, when it feels good, you can open your eyes, you can come back. And let's get intentional. I mean, you're an intentional person just for being here and just for tuning into these types of podcasts and episodes and all that. And if you're like me, like strengthening intentionality, strengthening what you desire and going after the life you desire is not only rewarding, but it's fun. The whole process is fun. Okay. So anyway, we'll get into that later, but life, in general, is an opportunity to get intentional. And life might be like a box of chocolates, but I also believe that it can be like a GPS system. And it's not sexy, but it is powerful. And hear me out on this. So in my years of working with thousands around goals and desires and in crafting intentional lives, I started to notice some resistance when my clients would start sharing goals. So often it seemed like there was this thing on the tip of their tongue that they wanted to speak out loud, but that they held back. And when I realized what was going on, I started to see this pattern in many, many people. They would have a goal or a dream that they felt clear they wanted, but they were afraid to write it down or say it out loud because they didn't know how they were going to get there. And so committing to it felt a bit too risky, and then they'd bury the desire back within them, afraid to let it be seen. Now, what I wish everyone knew about building an intentional life of all you dream of is that our desires work like a GPS system. You only need to know the destination. It isn't up to you to know how to get there, okay? It's not up to you to know how to get there, because the truth is that there are so many different routes and paths available. There are so many detours that can pop up and redirect us or protect us. There are many factors that can require us to pivot. But at the end of the drive, we often get to the intended destination, unless we find something even better along the way, which is even better. So all you needed to know was where you wanted to go, not the exact path to travel. And life is like this, and living an intentional life is exactly like this. It's a beautiful give and take of directing the ship and also allowing the ocean to guide you. So yes, sometimes life is like a box of chocolates, and that's fun and exciting and a damn good time. But it's still okay to know what you want to get to in the end, and it will be a tasty ride along the way. So I have 3 tips for you on living an intentional life. The first one is to take time to plan. Daily, weekly, monthly, annually. If you have dreams and goals and desires for something more, then you must take the time to plan. Every year, I do our U-Year program once or twice. Every month, I participate in our monthly planning workshops at Self-Care Society. Every week, I take time to organize my calendar and my Asana tasks. Every day, I sit down and organize my obligations, or I take a Self-Care Society class. Living intentionally is a daily practice. It's a muscle we have to strengthen, but it's not going to happen without a little effort. So we have to put in the effort to actually plan and to show up. The second thing is to use systems to support you. I love to delegate to technology. I use 3 systems consistently that help me stay accountable to my dreams. I use my life sheet, which is a Google sheet I've created where I track my goals and habits and moods. We talk about this in New Year. I show you how to use that. I use my calendar to time block my day to make sure I leave space for what matters. I use Asana to set up repeating tasks for all the important little mini wins of my day. So delegating to technology to support myself has been the greatest gift. And third, surround yourself in like-minded people. You've heard it many times that you become like who you surround yourself with. And ask yourself, are the people around you also growth-minded? Are they focused on living the life they dream of with intention? If you want to go after your goals, surround yourself in other go-getters, okay? All right, so let's practice feeling more intentional together with some exercises straight from Self-Care Society classes. As always, we'll pause to give you a moment to think, but feel free to stop the recording if you need more time to ponder or write. You'll also hear inspiring examples from our live classes too. Join us for a full schedule of live and on-demand classes at selfcaresociety.co. All right, our first exercise is called Your Seed Packet Stats. And if you know me, I'm an avid gardener. I got my Master Gardener certification. I wouldn't actually call myself a Master Gardener, but I'm learning with every season. So I love it because what I love about nature and about growing plants is how much you can learn from a personal development standpoint as a result of that growth. So if you think about a plant, right, or a seed packet, it gives you information on how best to care for it. So when you think about yourself in your fullest bloom, you really have to think about the environment that supports you. So like on the back of a seed packet, it typically tells you how much sun and space and what kind of soil and what temperatures that this plant needs for its fullest, most beautiful and healthy expression, okay? So I want you to think about what helps you bloom, right? Like what would your seed packet say in terms of what you could do to help yourself step into your fullest bloom. So let me give you an example here. Danika thrives on a minimum of 7 hours of sleep and when going to bed early enough to allow for her to wake naturally at 4 or 5 a.m. She needs support with childcare in the morning so she can care for herself and get her work done when her mind is sharpest. Danika thrives with morning movement, doing whatever feels best in her body. It's important to give her a clean and clutter-free space, and so on. Okay? So take a moment to think about your own seed packet. What would it say in order to help you bloom and thrive? All right, now we have a special treat. We have an audio or video share from Carrie.
Carrie thrives when she wakes up feeling refreshed and awake. Her morning time, 1 to 2 hours for self-care and to get clear and aligned for her day. Carrie thrives when there's focus and clarity on what matters most in her work and a pacing that fosters ease and calm throughout the day. Carrie is energized by being outside in nature and or in the hot tub under the stars to wind down. Carrie loves her friends and connection each day.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carrie. So we're going to move into our gratitude practice, and this is called Thank You for What's to Come. So I want you to think about the new month and season ahead, or whatever sort of fresh start might be ahead for you, and write some gratitude statements saying thank you for all you wish to experience or to call in, and write these as if they've already happened, okay? So whenever you're listening, if there's not a new month or a new season or whatever, just the new day, right? The new week, whatever it is, okay? So for example, I said, thank you for showing me that I can live a big, abundant life that still feels simple, slow, and spacious. Thank you for so many exciting adventures with my daughters and having plenty of time for it all. Thank you for feeling so vital and alive and energized. Okay, so these are all things that I am calling in, and I am expressing gratitude now beforehand in order to support that. Okay, this is my intentional living. So what is it for you? What do you want to say thank you for in terms of what you're calling in? Cassie says, thank you for the discomfort of taking a leap and trusting what lies ahead will be better. Noelle says, thank you for the easiness with which the days flow with opportunities for movement, connection, play, and rest. Mackenzie says, thank you for reminding me what it feels like to be creative and make things from my ideas in tangible ways. Beautiful. So our affirmation exercise is called I am intentional. And you're going to use the prompt, I am intentional, to write or think about a few affirmation statements of where you desire to show up more intentionally in your life. Okay, so my example, I said, I am intentional in the ways I care for myself. I am intentional in getting out of the house and exploring the local and non-local sites. I am intentional about what I say yes and no to. Okay, so take a moment here to think about where you crave to show up more intentionally. I am intentional about what? Carrie says, I am intentional about showing those I love how much they matter to me and the world. Ashley says, I am intentional with my time because every minute I am here is a treasure. Caitlin says, I am intentional about being gentle with myself. Jenny says, I am intentional in my life, creating contingency and meaning. Wow. So our next exercise is called Your Day Defined. And so with all this data that we came up with, and I know data is not always like the sexiest word, but it is data. So with all this data that we came up with over the last 3 exercises, I want you to sketch out or think about an agenda for a day in which you incorporate as much as you possibly can from this list of information, okay? So I want you to try to include some of the things that help you bloom, some of these gratitude elements that you're calling in, some representations of the affirmations you wrote, and just any other details that you can squeeze in. And you can think of this as your ideal day in April or your ideal day in whatever month you're listening. Okay, so for example, mine might say, at 4 a.m. I wake without an alarm, rested, baby's still sleeping. I do my morning rituals. At 4:30 a.m., I'm working out at home. At 5 a.m., I'm meditating and journaling. Maybe I'm drinking a nice veggie packed smoothie. At 5:30 a.m., I'm mapping out my day. I'm reading my goals. I'm reading my book. At 6 a.m., I'm getting dressed and ready for the day in an outfit that makes me feel great. At 6:30 a.m., I'm teaching an extra special self-care society class. At 7, I meander around the garden, getting sun on my face, take a walk with my daughter. 7:30, I tidy our house and our space. 8 a.m., I pause before making breakfast and I eat what really helps me thrive and sounds great. At 8:30 a.m., I connect with one of my mastermind members. I surprise them with something helpful, and so on. Okay. And you can sketch this out a little bit more broadly, right? You can say from 9 to 11, I'm doing work, right? Or from 2 to 4, I'm going here, or from noon to 5, I'm at work, whatever it is. But I want you to take the time to at least think of a few different time frames of your day and what it would look like to be as intentional as possible. Great work. We are going to do our final exercise, which is the story of your day. This is a visualization exercise. So with this agenda breakdown that you created, this last exercise, now you get to really tell the story and paint the picture of your day, okay? So I want you to write or think about a vision for the way this day goes, but like you're telling the story all about it, okay? So you'll notice in my example now how I wove this into more of a story than just sort of like a list of times and to-dos. So for example, I said, what an amazing day I had. I slept so well and woke up naturally at 4 a.m. I love my morning hours and I did a fabulous workout. I feel so strong. My new habit of having a green juice after my workout feels amazing. I'm vibrating after I drink it. Meditation and journaling give me so much self-knowledge and really help me live more intentionally. They naturally feed into my planning processes. I'm so excited for our outing this afternoon. I feel so spacious and like I have plenty of time to do all I desire, and so on. Okay. So just take a moment here to think about what this looks like for you. Tell the story of your most intentional day. And maybe you're telling it today, for today, using all these things that we've come up with in class. All right, my friends, beautiful work today. Keep in mind that an intentional life starts with the intention to live one. It also starts with the belief that you deserve and truly can create the life you dream of, no matter your current circumstances. Start today. Start right now. You know what your most intentional day looks like. So now you get to really live it. I believe in you and I am cheering you on in every single way. Thank you so much for joining me today on your morning mindset practice. I hope you're feeling more intentional, and I'd love for you to join us at selfcaresociety.co for a live or on-demand class so you can stay consistent with your self-care, connect with other like-minded people, and continue filling your cup so you can overflow onto the world. We need you. I'll see you next time.